Yo dog, Kenny Bechet here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days. Gonna be slinging another painting tutorial to you guys. In today's episode, we're gonna be doing something a little different. I know I've been saying that literally every episode, but today I really mean it. We're gonna be showing you how to cheat when painting. Some of the pro painting hacks that maybe some of the professionals have kept secret, I'm gonna show you today. And honestly, it's more like a compendium of all the things I've been showing you. But something really unusual in today's episode is going to be, I'm going to be showing you the sub-levels of the Beats Laboratory. I'm going to show you where some of the additional magic happens. I'm going to take you outside. I'm going to show you some of my next level painting tricks. And I'm going to bring it full circle. Obviously, I'm going to paint some models today. Today's going to be part one in a multi-part series. I'm going to be painting some Emperor's Children colored rhinos with some Forge World doors. They're pretty cool. Obviously, if you've been following the Emperor's Children stuff online on Instagrams, on the Facebooks, and on the Twitters, you'll see I've been working on these. After this video, I might be moving on to something a little different, and I think for the rest of the year, we're going to be working heavy on Infinity. So a lot of exciting new paint jobs are going to be coming on the horizon, which is, couldn't come sooner. We've pretty much done a lot. We've covered a lot of 40K this last year. So, real quick before I forget, I do want to mention, don't forget Gemr.com. These guys are giving away an airbrush. I'm hoping that you can still get an entry into that competition. So obviously check the links in the description box below. Gemr.com is a social media platform dedicated to collectors, and they are now catered to us wargamers. So if you use the links, you can enter to win an Iwata Eclipse airbrush. Totally free shipping, everything. All that aside, all the bribery aside, it's actually a fucking amazing website. So I recommend checking out Gemr.com. As usual, thank you for the support on Patreon. I've got a few people to shout out today. Gonna be shouting off a list of clutch legendary individuals, starting with Jacob, Zekin. We got Dirk, my man Anthony. Yo, big thanks to you, Anthony. You are super clutch, coming in hot. We got, I want to say, Zavilian. Thank you, my man. Got my boy Roland. Obviously, Adrian. Can't forget Adrian. He's such a pimp. And one of my most recent Patreons, Antonio. And obviously, a big shout out to my boy Adam Stein. I don't know how many times I can say thank you. You guys have been making this happen. It means so much. I'm able to keep the lights on in the Beats Lab. I didn't eat ramen all month. I actually ordered a pizza once this month. So, huge. Anyway, as usual, check out the longwar.net, your exclusive access to all the battle reports and more. Don't want to talk your ear off. Let's jump into this tutorial. All right, let's do this thing. Let's do our 5 ancient Chinese tricks to getting that next level pro painting style. And what we're talking about here is we're talking about the secrets to pro painting. How, if you're like an aspiring painter and you're trying to do these commissions, here's some sick tech, ancient Chinese tech. First thing we're doing here is Army Painter Primers. I showed you a little picture of their set. They're literally amazing. Here I am outside, literally using their purple color. I think it's alien purple. And we're just priming this Emperor's Children Rhino, multiple light coats, showing you this process. Got my Gorilla iPhone cameraman showing you guys a new scene here at the Beats Laboratory outside. And same deal. On these rhinos, I like to line up all the metal bits. And then I use some of this Army Painter metal color. It's just like whatever, their standard metal. Don't even know the name because they only got one. But you see, look how much work this is actually saving here. Laying these out on double stick tape, spraying them. And here's the hatches. I want these hatches to end up white. And so I'm going to prime them black, bold choice cotton, you know what I'm saying? But I'll show you with an airbrush, being a gangster, it doesn't matter what color you prime things sometimes, you can power it through. So now we've taken all that headache out and we're moving right into the airbrush process. I'm pulling out a Minotaur paint. This is a purple, Icky Moss. Some shit like that, I don't know what the name is. And what we're going through is it's a darker purple than the color that we primed it. And I'm kind of going through and almost quickly repainting it with this purple. Kind of like just dragging it into the dark areas. The reason I'm doing this, even though I already painted it purple with the primer, is that the primer is so close to this color that this sticks so easily. So I'm not really totally repainting it. I'm just reestablishing the dark areas. You see here? Now all of a sudden you've got a cool transition. Really simple, really effective. We're going to move up a color. We're going to use another Minotaur paint. This is their demon skin. Military paint, I've talked a lot of shit about them. I literally hate them. Their paint suck. But they have a couple of cool ones. Like everyone has a couple of cool ones. This is very privateer press, like P3 formula, and it's in the theory that these colors highlight each other. So I'm doing a gangster gumbo. You might remember this trick from an airbrush hack video we recently did. I'm pouring a couple of drops of the demon skin into the Icky Moss, stirring it up. We obviously are going to use the gangster gumbo techniques, the backflow techniques, all from that previous video. I used a little bit of airbrush flow improver. So these are the hacks. Basically, get your spray primer game on lock. And then get your hack game on lock with the airbrush. There's so many ways to use an airbrush so effectively. And these airbrush hacks are one of them. And now what we're doing is we're building the highlights up the other side, literally opposite to the Icky Moss. And we're going to transition it downward. And we're going to kind of use the primer of the model as the midtone. And everything sticks to it super easily. We're going to start subtly building these highlights up. And I would say if you want to talk about an ancient Chinese trick, subtlety is the key here. When you're working on these big flat surfaces, building up multiple subtle transitions is really important. But I'll tell you, the secret trick to being a good pro painter is exciting transitions and really, exaggerated highlights. As we build it up, you're going to see that even though we're being very subtle and we're taking as many stages between the colors as possible, we are working our way up to a very exciting transition. Very, like super pop. And that's kind of what people want when they pay for a model, is they want their model to look exciting. Now, obviously everyone's different. It's a very subjective. I've got so many clients that want so many different things, but ultimately you cultivate a clientele of people who like your style. Everyone has a different style and everyone has a different taste. There's nothing to feel bad about in this industry, and there's enough love for everyone. Like every pro painter will have the ability to do well. And I'm just trying to show you guys tricks as a pro painter to expedite the process so that you could focus on the things that people want to see, like the extra details, the next level technique. And here's some right here. Look at this front plate of this rhino. We're creating an incredibly exciting transition. We're trying to create the illusion of this like shiny, semi-metallic, almost non-metal metallic effect on the front plate. This is what I'm talking about. This is a next level pro painting technique. Create that exciting transition. Make it interesting. You want people to see the army from a mile away. And this is one of those techniques. Going through, being subtle. But now we're about to pop it up one more time. We're using that amethyst purple from the Reaper Master series we used recently in the Contemptor dreadnought tutorial. We're going to very subtly make this an airbrush ready paint with our airbrush flow improver. And we're going to pop out the highlight one more time. I'm actually keeping this really thin too, because I want this to be super subtle and I want to do multiple thin layers. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to speckle it back into the darker purples. So I'm using a lot of air and very little paint with my trigger work on the airbrush. Just slowly letting the air blow that paint out and just dry it almost as it hits, very slowly building it up layer by layer, because I do want that pop. I want that transition. It is time consuming, but it is well worth it. And once you save all the, because you are still going to save time in the grand scheme of things, even though it's time consuming. Like, let's get real, like paintbrush this without an airbrush. Let's talk about time consuming, And now look at this front plate. It's going to start popping out super good. I mean, like it looks like it's potentially made of metal right now. I love this effect. And just take a look at what we've got so far. We've got very subtle but very bright transitions. Very exciting. Love the way this is coming out right here. And you can see down the side here, this is one of my favorite profiles. Like, just look at that. Very clean transition. Very exciting. This is exactly a pro painting hack right here. This, if you use these techniques, you should be able to flip a couple models for your friends. Here's another ancient Chinese trick right here. Model masters, testers, lusterless. Go in there, Doko all those airbrush rhinos that you just did, because it's very subtle. The airbrush is very easy to rub off. So go in there, hit them down. And real quick, ancient Chinese technique right here. We're hitting you up with a Vallejo black. But where do you put the wash? This is I'm telling you, this is integral to my operation. I'm using the lids of water bottles. This is my #1 painting palette. Literally, it's free if you buy a bottle of water at home. which I do because I'm not a poor person who drinks out of the tap. So we're going to go in here real quick, and you've seen me do this a million times before. We're just going to wash very aggressively all these metal bits that we're just leaning on the primer. They're sitting on a piece of double stick tape. We're going to go through and just get gangster mode. We're going to let these dry, and eventually we're going to come back to these and we're going to dry brush them, and we're going to make them look really pretty. But look how fast this is. Imagine if you glued these into your rhino and then try to paint them all without getting paint all over the purple, and then try to carefully wash them and dry brush them. Fuck that. This is the trick right here. So obviously invest in some double stick tape. Get a good floor fan for speeding up the process. I will set these down in front of my floor fan under my feet and let this dry really quick and come back and dry brush it. These are just some of the simple tricks that I've picked up as a pro painter. Now let's move into the final little piece to this rhino, the top hatch. This is where it's going to get gangster. Obviously, we left these off because it's one of the coolest ways to create contrast is to paint these a different color. Now, obviously, if you glued them in, that would be a nightmare. We left them off. We're trying to paint these up to a white. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to use two colors. We're going to use white plus arcane blue from the P3 series. We're going to basically do mostly white with a couple of drops of arcane blue. And we're going to just power through. Typically, it's really hard to build white up over black. But I'm making that airbrush work. Look how much speckling we're getting. That's what happens when you go with a really bright color over black. No big deal. We're going to just do a pass, let it dry, do another pass, and we're coming in really hot with the PSI here. Super, cranked up PSI. And we're letting as much air come through as possible. And this is real time. So like for anyone out there who's like, I don't know how to build the white, it's so hard. Look at this. Literally these things are prime black and we're almost white right now. We're white with a little bit of blue, and that's the little bit of blue. Don't underestimate it. It's helping us stick. It's giving you just enough sticking power because it's just neutral enough. And I mean, literally, they're pretty much, there it is. And you can see that little off-white blue in there. What we're going to do now is we're going to come back in with that pure white. And we're just going to start highlighting the tips of these things out on the teeth side because we want the center of the hatch to be brighter. And we're going to build this up subtly. We're not going to go crazy like we just did. We're not going to power through. We're going to clean our airbrush out, put the white in there, use our flow improver, and we're going to just very subtly build that pure white in. We're going to go, many passes of, thin, high PSI, low paint trigger work. Just build it up, get it to as pure white as you can, and just leave some of that subtle arcane blue off-white in the corners. Give you that transition, make it look frosty and clean like Emperor's Children would. There's multiple ways you could do this. You could pearlize it. You could do, the eggshell coloring, which I'll do a video here really soon on some of the eggshell white transitions. But for now, we're going to keep it the icy bluer transitions. And take a look at how good these came out. This literally is real time, like no additional minutes spent. Look how clean that white transition is. We just gangster moded it. So I guess another ancient Chinese trick here for this video is the airbrush does work, man. If you have faith in the airbrush and use the right PSI, and of course, if you buy yourself an Iwata Eclipse. Anyway, that's it for this video. Let me show you a sneak peek what we're going to do next week. We're going to take this video, we're going to take this rhino, and we're going to mesh them together and take this thing to the next level. We're going to show you all the next level painting techniques. I'm going to show you all the edge highlighting. I'm going to show you all the weathering chips, and we're going to take all these little pieces right here. We're going to put them on top of that rhino, and we're going to dry brush them. We're going to highlight them. We're going to make it look fresh. So obviously, as usual, stay tuned. Thanks for watching this video, man, and we'll hit you up on the flip side. Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.